Hello, and welcome to So You Think You Can Rule Persia, the podcast where we rated and reviewed all the kings of Persia from Antiochus to Yazdegerd III. Today, welcome to the second round of the semifinals. I am Sariel, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Umberto, my pronouns are he, him. Hello everybody, and welcome to the last of the semifinals, where we will be pitting against each other Khosrow II and Antiochus the Great.
No.
Where we get to decide who will get the final spot in the final and go against Darius the Great next time to make us take some terrible decisions, even more than usual.
Can we just have a three-way tie? Can we just not?
No, Sariel. Otherwise, we already excluded poor Seleucus. He is, he deserves to at least go down in battle against other people.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what people have to say about our decision from last episode.
Well, I'll have it in a moment.
Good, great.
Yes, so since we have run out of categories that we can rate people on, so essentially we finished our total scores last time.
True.
So, we don't have our dynasty roundup. Our last dynasty roundup today is going to be Shahanshahs, so what dynasty was proportionally most Shahanshah-y. But that means that this leaves us enough time to do a mini-final at the very end to see who will go up against Seleucus I for third place. So if you lose this round, you can still lose and become fourth place.
If you lose,
Best
you can
of
lose
luck
more.
To whoever's going to do that. Exactly. It's an
exciting
exciting new category where you can just lose twice as much. So there we go. Today we will define who's in the final and who is third and fourth place, and then the first two will be defined in a bit. Also, there will be a gap between the semi-final episode and the full final because we're organizing something special for the full final, and it will take a little bit more time than usual. Please be patient. It'll be fine. It'll be worth it. But in the meantime, Sariel, let's go for what you were mentioning. Yes. Do you think people agreed with us last time?
Exactly.
In excluding Seleucus and instead taking Darius? Do you think people broadly agreed with us, or do you think
so.
We made a controversial choice?
No, I think some of our previous choices have been very controversial. I think people mostly agree on this one.
And you would be right.
Yeah, I was like, I'll be pleasantly surprised if I'm wrong, but something tells me this is,
Yeah. It was a pretty clear victory for Darius the Great. He got 62.5% of the votes, with Seleucus gaining only the remaining 37.5%. So he put up a valiant fight. There were enough people willing to vouch for him, but still, that didn't mean that it was a full victory. So Darius comfortably made it up to the total final, and Seleucus we'll get to see him again today and see if he makes it for third or fourth place. I've seen people in our social media and in our Discord debating who the top four, what the order of the top four is going to be. I've had contrasting opinions. I have had people say that, Sariel, you have a crush on Khosrow.
Well, listen.
But
I think he has a cool story. I do not have a crush on any of these guys. Like, you look at me like that, but yeah, I don't think I'm obsessed over any of them. Maybe over the women.
That's fair.
Maybe Parisatis and Musa can be up there, but yeah. I don't think...
kick them out.
And Alexander is a pretty boy, but he's too much of a failure to, Oh my god, I called Alexander a failure. What have I done? Yeah, he's unhinged and reckless. Come on.
Yeah, we know what he's like. He didn't get very far. He got kicked out in the first round.
Exactly.
That's okay. Literally the first of the
But
rounds.
Hey, I get what our fans are saying. I'm not mad, I understand.
And so, yes, Sariel, today, let's go through very quickly the Shahanshahs round.
Right.
Do you have an idea? Which dynasty do you think was the most Shahanshah-y and which you think was the least?
I mean,
anything come to mind
okay,
based on patterns you've seen?
so it'll have
far?
to be one of the ones that ruled for the longest. Not that ruled, like, that had the most kings, because when you are going through a period of turmoil, you also have just a king every Saturday. And that's not, they don't tend to make it to Shahanshah status. So I would say that a dynasty that ruled the longest would probably have the most of them, because that's also a good sign of them having a lot of good, interesting kings.
I'm also saying here in proportion.
Okay.
So
well,
not most in total,
in
but proportion. Because it's true, it's not fair if you have
exactly.
a dynasty that's ruled twice as long as another.
In proportion, I think there were quite a few at the beginning, just because all of this mythological legends make for good Shahanshah material.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did we give a lot of them to... Let me pull up my drawings.
Yes, have a look.
And see what I remember. I do not have, like, noted down who got a Shahanshah in the drawings. It's just... I want to see how
like you can go off of
are.
vibes and say, yeah, this is pretty much... If the drawing is a blank silhouette, they probably didn't get a Shahanshah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna say this is hard. I was gonna say the Seleucids just because I like the Seleucids, but I think I will say the dynasty that has the Shapurs, like Shapur the First and
The Sassanids.
Yeah. Yes. The ones with the cool crowns.
Okay. I will tell you, they're definitely in the top 3, so
Okay.
that's a good.
So I'm not too far
stretch,
off.
but yeah, exactly. So let's see how it was divided up. So first of all, in first place, we have the Argeads, Ariel, with a 33%.
Yeah, because there's 3 of them. That doesn't count.
Because there's 3 of them, and one of them is Alexander.
Yeah, so that's right. Oh,
this
you
is
want to
when
be
the
fair,
is going to be
like
helpful.
Percentage wise, but also like this is sort of not really fair either. There's just 3 of them.
Yeah, we'll see. The others are sort of better. You can get more of a picture.
Okay.
Because then in second place, we have the Achaemenids with 31% of their rulers getting a Shahanshah. That is 4 of them. So, pretty good.
Pretty close.
That is 4 of them out of the 13 total that there are. Them, yeah. So, pretty reasonable. Then in third place is what you suggested, Serial, with a 29%. It is the Sassanids, where they got 10 Shahanshahs out of 34, which makes them the highest Shahanshah count. Also because they did rule, not exactly as much as all the other put together.
No, but a fair amount of time.
For a good third of the whole podcast. So, yeah.
I've drawn a lot of those Sassanid crowns. So the Achaemenids are who?
Second place.
Oh, no, but I mean...
Darius and Cyrus and
the early...
Xerxes and Artaxerxes III.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Then tied for fourth place, I'll say slightly more fourth place because they have more Shahanshahs, are the Seleucids, where they had 25% of them were Shahanshahs, which is 3 out of 12.
So
they were actually relatively low.
Yeah.
So only 3 out of 12. And tied with them are the Medians with another 25%, and they had 1 over 4.
Yeah.
So that was Cyaxares doing a good job. And then lowest of them all, as we could have expected from the general vibe we've been getting, are the Arsacids with a 23%. So 6 rulers out of 26 got a Shahanshah. This is mostly just a source issue. We've been repeating it a million times.
Yeah.
They're interesting. They're cool.
I mean, 6 of them still got Shahanshah. So,
far. Yeah, exactly. There's the Mithridates at the start. There's Musa. There's Vologases IV. There's Sinatrukes. And I'm missing one. Who am I missing? Orodes II. There we go.
Didn't you say 6?
Yes. Did I not mention 6?
Someone, quick.
There's 2 Mithridates.
Rewind. Go back.
There's 2 Mithridates.
Oh, there's 2 Mithridates.
Orodes II.
Okay.
Musa. Vologases V. and
Sinathrukes?
Sinathrukes.
Yeah.
There we go. So yes, 6. So there we go. That is the top 6 of our different dynasties. But what if we use the Bayesian adjusted mean, Serial, and try to account for the number of them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that case, we have a tie for first place between the Achaemenids and the Sassanids, which I feel like is a basic answer, but it kind of tracks. They're the ones where we have the most sources, and they're the most spectacular overall, so it's pretty cool. It's exciting. The Argeads cling to third place, just coasting on Alexander, just inflating all their numbers as they have been for all this time. Fourth place are the Medians. Fifth place are the Seleucids, and last are the Arsacids. So it's mostly the first 3 that are sort of shuffled around, but, you know, it's good to see that the Achaemenids and Sassanids are the ones that we've rated most highly. Also, while we're in a statistics mood, I'll tell you that out of all our Shahanshahs, there were 20% that were Old Iranian, so Achaemenid or Medians. 16% that were Hellenistic, 24% that were Parthian, and 40% that were Sassanid.
Yeah.
After we went to our second set of rounds, there was a serious culling of the Old Iranians, and the Sassanids stood strong. Because the Old Iranians got only 10%, Hellenistic 20%, Parthian 20%, and the Sassanids were a full 50%.
Crazy. I mean, it
impressive.
makes sense. That's, you know.
But then at the very end, we cut out a ton of those Sassanids, and for the finals, we have one Old Iranian, so 25% Old Iranian, 50% Hellenistic, and 25% Sassanid.
We will see.
Very impressive. The Hellenistic dynasties have done surprisingly well.
Yeah,
with
I did not
Seleucus and
expect that.
Antiochus.
Because it's a strange period.
Yeah, exactly. But the stories are good enough that we think, no. They have few Shahanshahs, but the ones that they have are very good. Well, maybe the Sassanids have a lot more Shahanshahs, but we've only decided that one of them really is worth it. So, okay, Serial, there we go. We've rounded up all the Shahanshahs, and now it's our turn to sort of rank Khosrow II and Antiochus III based on our Patreon categories. So we'll get to figure out how they stack up against each other when rated with a different method. So first of all, I'll just remind you super quickly about who they are, what their deal is.
Yep, please.
So Khosrow II, he got a score of 71.7 out of 100, rated as being chaotic evil. He is the last great Sassanid king. He took the throne in a coup from his father. He was chased away by Bahram Chobin, asked and gained help from the Romans, couped his uncles, but then later started a civil war, defeated his uncle Bestam through murder. When the empire was finally at peace, Maurice was killed, and Khosrow took up the cause of Theodosius, conquered 3/4 of the Roman Empire, and refused a final capitulation.
Yep.
He had great management of the empire with tolerance for Christianity, held a Christian council, loves his wife Shirin, planned a massive relief that remained unfinished, ultimately lost at Constantinople and Nineveh, and was overthrown and killed by his son. So that is Khosrow II. We'll go later into it in the categories. So, strong standing.
Yeah. I forgot that it starts with a lot of usurpation and civil war and unrest.
It is very messy to start with. It's really a lot of stuff
Which
going
is,
on.
I guess, why I was so impressed that then he did rule for so long and actually did some like good empire management and conquering and stuff.
Yeah. Then next up we have Antiochus III, Antiochus the Great, with a score of 74.6, so the higher score of the two right now. And we rated him as a true neutral ruler. He was on the low end of the Seleucid Empire. It was basically reduced to Syria then. He started as a manipulated young man, outmaneuvered 3 potential regions, blaming it on the council, and became independent. He managed to retake Anatolia, have a great reconquest of Iran, giving him the title the Great. He was the first major Hellenistic ruler in India since Alexander, restructured the empire to rejuvenate it, took Palestine from the Ptolemies, tried to take control of Greece, but it ended up in a conflict with the Romans, our first encounter with them. Harbored Hannibal, was eventually defeated by Scipio, lost much of the progress, but the empire was a lot better now, and he was eventually killed while taking gold from a temple.
Yeah, that ending is just
Antiochus III.
Ridiculous, yep.
Yeah. Tough times. And so now, Cyril, it is time to rate them according to our Patreon categories. And our first category is Woe is Me. How much hardship did they go through? And let's start with Khosrow II. Well, he had a lot of stuff going on. So he was originally a prince. Things were going well. Then Bahram Chobin rebelled, minted coins in the name of Khosrow, trying to get him as a puppet, maybe, or trying to cause strife. Khosrow then overthrew his father and had him executed. But then Khosrow was chased away by Bahram Chobin, had to flee to the Romans, find their military support, then arrived back into the empire. Went well, but he was a puppet of both the Romans and his uncles. Managed to overthrow his uncles, but that went in a new civil war that almost lost him the throne, but he had his rival murdered. Then, eventually, once everything was at peace, he started this war with the Romans. It went really well at the start until it suddenly didn't. He had to eventually come to terms with the fact that the war had been lost after several years. And then he was overthrown by his son. His favorite son was killed in front of him. And then he himself was executed by being shot full of arrows. We thought his death was very impressive. We gave him the only 10 out of 10 for final moments. How much do you think is this worth for Woe Is Me? Do you have a starting position?
For Woe Is Me,
because I feel like it is quite high.
Yeah, like where do we? I mean, we start high in the social ladder, but there's a million obstacles to overcome. Really.
Yes, that's right.
The usurpation, the civil war, right?
Yeah, usurpation, the civil war. He has to run away to the Romans and ask them for help. That's a whole ordeal and a half.
The uncle. Yeah.
And then I don't know if you want to consider it Woe Is Me, but the fact that at the height of the war with the Romans, he has like one army to defeat and they constantly keep failing, and he's just like tearing his hair out and saying, come on, it's just one army, just kill them and it'll be done. Because it shouldn't be that
difficult. So it's really, really bad luck and really good soldiers on the opposing army. And probably on his own as well, just, you know. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a hurdle. I don't know if it counts as much for me in Woe Is Me, because this implies for me, like, actually being cursed by the world, like being dealt bad cards.
But then you also have the ending, where he's just like, he has his favorite son killed in front of him, he is murdered. It's a whole thing.
We always see this as a journey from worse to better.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the journey is the other way around, you know? Maybe the tragedy comes at the end.
I mean, that's how tragedy. If it ends well, it's a comedy.
Yeah, true. In which case, Antiochus III should also just, you know.
Yes, they're both tragedies. They both end poorly. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel it's not a super high score, but definitely some points. I would...
Yeah, just to give you some comparisons, Ariel. Yeah. St. Thomas, who was sold into slavery by his twin brother Jesus, got a 7 out of 10 and was eventually martyred. Gregory the Illuminator, who spent 20 years in a hole, got an 8. Mithridates the 6th, Mithridates the Great, the Poison King, he got a 5 for like constantly trying and failing to defeat the Romans.
True.
I'm getting a similar vibe.
Yep, same.
I feel like Khosrow is slightly more. Might give him a 6.
I was going to go for a 6. Which is what I gave to
Themistocles.
Yeah, I was going to go for a 6, but then you mentioned Thomas. and
Thomas got
uh,
a 7.
and Mithridates, and I'm like, I feel like it doesn't come that close. I feel like it might be more of a 5 than a 6.
Really? I feel like a 6. I'm more impacted by the dramatic end. Really does it for me.
Yeah, but it's not the same as spending 20 years in a hole or being sold to slavery.
Oh no, but Gregory got 8 points, so
Yeah.
fair enough. I think he is close to Mithridates the Great, but there is more betrayal in his life. So I feel like he
Fair.
deserves that extra little point.
Hmm.
You could stick with a 5 if you like. No need to
Maybe I'll
have
stick
split
with the
scores.
5 if you stick with the 6, and then we can have a mixed result.
That sounds good. So with a 6 and a 5, he gets an 11 out of 20 for Woe Is Me. What about Antiochus III? Antiochus III, he starts as, puppeted child, makes his way up through scheming and murder.
Yeah.
Eventually has a pretty good upward trajectory. He's the last of his dynasty and eventually restarts it. He has this upward trajectory, keeps winning, and then eventually he meets the Romans, and then everything falls apart, and eventually he is just killed in a humiliating way.
Yeah, I mean, his start was really startling. Hey, hey.
Yeah.
Pun not intended. Very unexpected and with odds stacked against him for sure.
Yes.
Not Musa levels of odds, but
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I honestly, again, looking at previous candidates, he feels like a Pompey the Great type guy, where it's like he didn't have too much. Things mostly went well for him. He had a bit of struggle at the start, and he did some work there to do it. All credit there. And it ended poorly, but in the middle, it was mostly a story of victories until he eventually lost. I feel like that is a vibe.
I feel like mostly we are disappointed because it could have been so much more and it wasn't.
Yeah. But I feel like for himself, his life was mostly, once he got out of his 3 regions, it was mostly pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like it's important to recognize that it started with an odd, like with bad odds, because honestly, like he should have been killed. Like at least that's what I was expecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, like once he got out of being a literal child, it's like okay, cool, everything up and up from here until the very end.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm going to go for a 3. What are your feelings?
Yeah, I think that's fair because the 3 still symbolizes like the trouble at the end and the beginning, but like overall, not that bad.
Sounds good. So with a 3 and a 3, he gets a 6 out of 20 for Woe Is Me. Our next category is just enough of a bastard to be worth knowing. How charmingly evil were they? And we can start with Khosrow II. Khosrow II likes to murder people.
Yeah.
Well, so first of all, he overthrew his father when threatened and had him. Either he had him executed or he said, oh no, it's my counselors that did it, my uncles. It's their fault, not me. I'm an innocent boy.
I don't know.
Yes. So he does that. Then there's there's the charming thing of just going to the Romans and saying, you know how we were at war? Like, could we not? Could you maybe? I can give you most of Armenia if you give me my kingdom back. Okay, great, thanks. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun. He then murders Bahram Chobin and Bestam through assassins, in one case by promising to marry the assassin. So that's fun.
Good move.
Depending on what we think about Theodosius, the heir to Maurice that is claiming the empire, is pretty, it's a good amount of playfulness there. And also, depending on what happens to Theodosius at the end, if Theodosius was just disposed of and mysteriously disappeared, who knows? And then I think broadly that's it for Khosrow. I don't know if any other events came to mind for you, but broadly he seems, not he's not Alcibiades. He's not like a disaster man. He's doing a reasonable job. He's using tools in his arsenal, but it's not like exuding charm. He's not a Byronic villain anywhere. So I'm thinking what am I thinking? I'm around a 5. I could go up or down 1, honestly. What do you think?
No, I think a 5 seems fair to me. Like you said, it's
5 on the dot. Who do we give a 5 to?
Yeah,
I gave a 5 to Themistocles, which I appreciate. You didn't give a 5 to anyone. But you gave a 6 to Mithridates the Great and a 4 to Themistocles as well.
Well, then I'll give him a 5.
So, yeah, I feel like a 5.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Let's go with a 5. So 5 and a 5 are 10 out of 20 for just enough of a bastard to be worth knowing. While Antiochus III, he has this whole run at the start where he just liquidates each of his regents in order, saying, "Tee, the council made me do it. I'm just a good king. Don't worry, it's okay." That's fun. I like that. That's neat. He's just very mischievous as a young man, which I appreciate. And then for the rest of his reign, there isn't much that is too mischievous. Like, he is, solidly conquering the empire, reestablishing it, establishing trade and political deals throughout. And then when he goes to fight the Romans, he does kind of tell the Romans, okay, why should I back off from Greece? You don't belong there either. We should both back off.
Yeah.
And the Romans say, no, this isn't how it works. You were the ones who back off.
So it's not about that then.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's kind of, it's a little bit there, but I don't feel like he is a massive diva. I think he is doing his plans, nothing too intense. I feel like he's a Ptolemy the Third or a Ashoka the Great type guy with a 3. Where it's like, there's something there. He's not like as charming as you'd expect.
It doesn't feel like I agree.
Sounds good. So with a 3 and a 3, he gets a 6 out of 20 for just enough of a bastard to be worth knowing. Our next category is tea time. How much would you like to grab a tea with one of these people? So first of all, Khosrow II. Any thoughts, Ariel? Does he strike you as somebody you would want to have a chat with? Do you want to go at the Khosrow household with him and Shivin and Maria and all the murderous children?
Oh god. So what was his, like, for me, being charming and being cultured is like what's gonna make me wanna hang out with a person, right? Like, if they can tell me interesting things, interesting stories.
I mean, he must have had adventures, just, sneaking yourself out of the empire to the Romans and then returning with an army. That's pretty cool. That's some fantasy novel crap.
Yes.
It's like, you just go in exile to the different kingdom and then come back at the head of an army because you're the legitimate king and you deserve to save everything. So that's fun. I like that he has, I like that he loves his wife. That's neat. Yeah. That's good. That's positive.
How to get points
from power
Umberto. Be a good husband.
Exactly. Be a good spouse.
Yes.
Good. So there's that. Then overall, as a person, he isn't as, fantastically cultured like Khosrow I, but he is broadly tolerant and accepts the new people in his empire and tries to make sure everything continues to run properly. So seems quite nice that way. He hands over control of the Christians in the empire to his wife because, well, she's Christian too. So she'd probably do a good job. Why not?
She probably know better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool. And then you'd want to know the inner drama because, Kavad II, Shiroe, the son of his and Maria, who eventually kills him.
Yeah.
Why did he hate his brother, his half brother, who was the son of Shirin? What's going on there? What is the whole drama going on? So there's plenty of interesting stories. Him as a person, so there's epic poems about him and Shirin, really. Yeah. Their love story is like one that is inscribed in Iranian literature because they're cool. They're a cool couple. He just goes and adventures for her and slays dragons and all that.
Oh, cool.
Which is always fun. So I think that's pretty cool. And also, you might want to ask him for the design of that relief that was never finished.
Oh
and
my god, yeah.
You have like a sketch or something.
You are so right, actually. Like, can we see the plans?
I just want to see what it was going to look like. It'll be okay.
Although if we don't bring the artists to tea time, I don't know if he'll be able to tell me. I guess he can describe it.
That's fair. Yeah, he might have a scroll or something, just tell you what he wants to put on it. But yeah, so I think he's quite nice for tea time. He does eventually lose it a little bit at the end. He does have one of his generals whipped after death because he lost a really important battle, and he's just like,
yeah, at this point he was just
one Roman army, just stop it.
Yeah, it's the one.
Come on.
I would also lose my mind though if this was
exactly. That's fair, entirely reasonable. And so I think that's pretty cool. I like him. I think he is somebody I'd like to chat to. Wouldn't be like on my top list. I feel like his story is more interesting than he is, for example.
Same. That's why I was like, I don't know if I would like hang out with him, or like what would I get from
I'm feeling a 6-ish, but I saw that we gave Darius a 6 last time. I slightly like Khosrow more, so I'd go for a 7. Yeah. I'm gonna go for a 7. Did we give a 7 to anybody?
So you'd rather meet Khosrow than Darius?
As a person, yes.
Yeah, like in this category.
Yes, that's right. So I think I'm gonna go for a 7. What are you thinking?
What did I give Darius? Very low.
Give Darius a 6 as well.
Oh, as well? I thought I went lower than you. I think it's also gonna be a 6 for Khosrow.
Sounds good. Fair enough. So with a 7 and a 6, he gets a 13 out of 20 for tea time. And instead, Antiochus III. Antiochus, what would you give him for tea time? Would you like to go and grab tea with him, trying to figure out all the ways he outmaneuvered his puppet masters, his meeting with Hannibal? That must have been fun. That's pretty cool.
I'd love to know about that. Sounds really
That's
cool.
nice, being defeated by Scipio, meeting the Romans for the first time, finding who were these weird people from the West. What is their deal?
True.
That must have been interesting. Finally figuring out why he became called the Great, because Justin thought that, that he got called the Great, no big deal, was a satisfying
we don't know,
sentence. And Antiochus, he's interesting. I'm sort of less personally impressed with him than I am with Khosrow. I don't know about you.
Fair.
I feel like Antiochus, he's interesting. He's a very cool character, but as a person, I feel like he has less to offer. Like, he feels very straight and narrow. Just, he did a good job as a king. He did everything he could, but there isn't so much in stories that he could tell you. Like, a lot of what he could tell you was like his teenage years.
Yeah, other than that, then
like
growing up, like how was it becoming a ruler?
Yeah, and I mean, he traveled from India to Greece and, the borders of Egypt. He did a lot of traveling. He's probably seen a lot of interesting things, but,
True, yeah.
I don't feel like that cuts it for me.
Yeah.
I feel like, honestly, you know who I'm comparing him to?
Ooh.
I'm comparing him to Antiochus VII, the one who almost managed to retake Iran from the Parthians at the start of the Parthian Empire. I feel like they have similar vibes as people. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't have strong feelings about it.
I think I'm gonna go for 3.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to meet these people. I like their stories, but there's very few that have captured me as a character, like individual characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd go maybe for a 4. I think I would like
Okay,
to
a 4. That's fair.
chat with him about like how it all
Honestly,
happened.
yeah. You know what? You've convinced me up to a 4 as well.
Damn, that's
I
cool.
agree with you. So with a 4 and a 4, he gets an 8 out of 20 for tea time. And our final category for this round is Echoes in Eternity. How much of an impact did he have on the future? So, Khosrow II. Let's start with him. He was quite influential. He is the reason people are called, well, he or his grandfather and or are the reasons people are called Khosrows. The rulers of Iran are called Khosrows by later Arabic historians. He then, it's sort of his fault that the empire falls, in a way. Because without Khosrow, he doesn't fight this 20-year war with Rome that exhausts both empires and eventually just leaves the door open for the Islamic Caliphate to just rush in and conquer everything. Again, if Khosrow had managed to conquer Rome, definitely massive echoes in eternity. Yeah. But this way, he sort of weakened his empire and the other empires enough.
It didn't pay off. He
ensured that this specific historical moment happened. So that's very impressive. Or I don't know if impressive, but influential. He then also is the last source of legitimacy for all the remaining kings after him. Because everybody tries to paint themselves as Khosrow in their coins. His face will be on coins for the next 100 years or so after his death, just because he is the last symbol of authority that people remember. And it's just, look at Khosrow, this is how he was. That's very cool. He has epic poems written about him. That's interesting. That's fun. That's always a nice thing to have. And then he is broadly seen as, in the collective Iranian memory, the last good Sassanid king, the last one who was capable. Everything else was just a trash fire, but he did a good enough job that he should be remembered as this great ruler, and people still claim him as, their ancestor.
Although that might also have more to do with the fact that everything becomes a trash fire afterwards.
It might, which in part is also his fault, as we've seen.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what to tell you.
But hey, it is his influence. It counts. And then anything else for Echoes in Eternity? I can't think of much right now. He sort of stops nobles from gaining power in the empire and becoming kings, but that doesn't really happen for long, and Shahbaraz eventually does that. So I say it's quite high. I think how high you want to go depends on how strongly you want to credit him for the rise of Islam, basically.
Yeah.
Because, if it's thanks to Khosrow that Islam exists and is a world religion, well,
then the echoes are pretty high, yeah.
If instead you think, well, that was going to happen anyway, but he just helped it along, well, then that's a different opinion.
I don't know if we've ever given like a grade for this, for Echoes in Eternity, where it was like a bad influence that did have huge consequences. we're definitely given points for bad influences. Don't get me wrong. Like if someone destroyed an
Yes.
empire, then the echoes of for eternity like also have a But it's easier to forget the things that have bad consequences because usually they tend to then erase whatever could have been, and we
Yeah.
don't give points for alternative futures, right?
Yeah.
But this would
Speaking
be
of
very
which, in the
interesting if we
Shahnameh,
like we give points for something that's technically bad, but also then had a huge influence of something that lasted a long time, even though it was not his
yeah,
intention for it to be that way.
no. I mean, but also speaking of that, in the Shahnameh, there is no mention of his great war because it ultimately fails. So it's the sort of thing where did he have influence? Did he
Yeah.
not?
Hmm.
Eh. He is just he's just very interesting. But for Echoes in Eternity, I don't think he deserves a full 10 like Darius. I think he is definitely below that. We gave Seleucus a 7 last time. Do you think he rates higher than Seleucus, for example?
Uh, what did we give Seleucus? A 8?
And a 7.
A 7.
I yes. I was thinking of giving him an 8 because he feels a lot like Ashoka the Great, where like your legacy is ultimately that your empire will fail and die,
hmm.
but you were pretty cool while it was going.
Well, it was happening. You made for a
You
good
know,
story. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and depends how you want to take his consequences. Like if you put it on him, the fact that then like Islam becomes this world religion, then yeah, then his echoes in eternity are huge. But like that's not his intention. That's a consequence of in part him, but in part the people that come after him.
yeah. I feel like if it were just Khosrow, it wouldn't have happened. There were a lot of things
Yeah.
altogether that
Like
came
that
up
also
to
wouldn't
make
be
sure
fair.
that was a thing. So I feel like he definitely made it, more decisive as it happened because they only had like 3 armies to defeat, and then that was it. That's the empire gone. But I don't feel like you could give full credit to Khosrow. So I think I'm going to go with an 8 overall. So slightly more than Seleucus, but not too far higher.
Yeah, I think I'll match you. That sounds like a good
Okay,
argument.
sounds.
I don't really have anything to add that would, that would change it.
So with an 8 and an 8, he gets a 16 out of 20 for Echoes in Eternity, while Antiochus III, well, thanks to him, his empire survives another 100 years. That's pretty good. If he hadn't been there, if it was just a random puppet child, the empire would have fallen. End of story.
Yeah, like
Antiochus just
again,
took it
if it had
and just
gone how we
raised it up from the
expected,
jaws of defeat.
which is he would be immediately killed and someone would take his place. Like I guess it would depend on that someone, but I don't think it would have been very stable.
Yeah, but the fact is that he was the last member of his dynasty, so
Yeah,
if he were killed, then it's just a free for all for legitimacy,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
everybody would have just gone to hell. Well,
Yep.
he instead managed to save the empire, not only save it, but just reunify it, retake Iran, retake Anatolia, take land from Egypt, and all that. That's very important. Incidentally, the fact that he takes over Palestine means that Hanukkah becomes a thing because his descendants will eventually go and irritate the Jewish people by
Yeah.
by attacking them or forbidding their worship. So that's a thing. Thank you, Antiochus, for Hanukkah? Question mark.
Isn't he in
But then,
the Hebrew stories for like bad things though, or was that a different Antiochus?
yes, absolutely. That's his. Is it his son? Yeah, it's his son Antiochus.
I see.
So yes, it's another Antiochus, but yeah. So that's one, and then eventually you have the massive war with Rome, which ultimately undoes a lot of his work.
Yeah.
Because Rome eventually just kicks the Seleucids out of Anatolia permanently, and Antiochus is just there, stuck with the remains of a pretty good empire, but nothing. It was about to be Alexander's empire reborn.
Yeah.
But now it's just one of the many empires, and due to succession problems, it will decline and fall. Also, again, same issue that we saw with Seleucus. Nobody claims Antiochus the Great.
Yeah.
He is, he doesn't leave a long-lasting cultural legacy. There is no, massive Greek community in Syria that claims Antiochus as their descendant, as their ancestor. It's just, yeah, he existed. Not many people know about him. I'd never heard about him before.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, even as an enemy of Rome, he doesn't have that great echo. Like,
Because
generally, the story is mentioned mostly because Hannibal was also there.
Yeah.
Generally, people say, "Oh, when Hannibal was at this court, he said, oh, look at all the silver that your soldiers are wearing. I'm sure, even though the Romans are very greedy, I'm sure this will make them happy."
Yeah.
It's mostly Hannibal jokes.
Yeah.
While Antiochus himself, So I feel like he does save his empire. That is important. I think he deserves less than Seleucus. I think he is a 6 instead of a 7. Who do we give a 6 to anywhere? To Bindusara Maurya, which is like, yeah, I can see that. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds fair.
You're also agreeing for a 6?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Maybe I'll go for a 5. I don't know if he had that much of a lasting impact.
Mm-hmm.
Because what he achieved was also taken away at the end of his life. Not entirely, but
yeah, but a large part of it was removed.
So I think
in his aftermath, Rome is essentially the hegemon of the Mediterranean.
Exactly. So
5 then?
Yeah.
Okay. So with a 6 and a 5, he gets an 11 out of 20 for Echoes in Eternity. Now, Serial, let's add up the remaining scores, which we'd already given during the main round. So final moments, Khosrow gets a 10 out of 10, Antiochus a 5 out of 10. For Face of Faces, Khosrow gets a 4 out of 5, Antiochus gets a 5 out of 5. And Lengthiness, Khosrow gets a 3.7 out of 5, and Antiochus gets a 3.6 out of 5. Serial, there is a massive discrepancy here.
Oh.
Because with our Patreon scores, despite Antiochus being slightly higher than Khosrow in our regular categories, in this case, Khosrow gets a 67.7 out of 100, and Antiochus gains a 44.6 out of 100.
Yeah.
Massively below him. So, and also, incidentally, Khosrow gets a score higher than Darius and Seleucus. Just by a couple points, but we can see that Antiochus is far behind, at least in our Patreon categories. He's struggled. So, Serial, now that we've recapped these rulers, it's time for us to decide who do we want to go through. Khosrow II, Parviz the Victorious, or Antiochus III the Great.
Okay, but hear me out. Yes. New point system, or new category to consider. Which is what we keep coming back to.
Mm-hmm.
What we're trying to find is just the most iconic Persian king, right?
That's right.
However, part of that for this particular podcast would be if you have to recommend... If you have to recommend to somebody who hasn't listened to our podcast and doesn't know about Persian history an episode to start with, who would you recommend? And I honestly think about Antiochus's episode so often. And I think it would be like a great episode for people to listen to.
Fair.
That I have to give him more points in this specific category because...
I see. But Khosrow also has a 2-parter.
Yes, that's true.
And in Khosrow, I made you believe that everything was going really well.
Which it was.
Yeah, exactly.
For a bit.
So while I agree that as a standalone episode, Antiochus might be more captivating because it's all wrapped up in one, I feel like as an arc, Khosrow's is more fascinating for me. Because Khosrow just starts And he's messing stuff up so much at the start. Like, everything is on fire constantly.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to being the most victorious of all of them. There's the hubris of, say, the Romans surrendering unconditionally and saying,
finally got
nah,
him,
actually, I'll take everything. It's like, no, Khosrow, why? I just love the hubris there. I love that Khosrow's like, what if Alexander
But that's the thing. That's the thing, though.
As he was.
That is the problem. You can't like measure yourself after Alexander because that man was born with a flower up his butt, which means he was just like extremely lucky, doing things that should not have worked for anybody on Earth. So you can't measure yourself against that because no.
But it's fun to see how it ended up with Khosrow, because it's saying, I'm going to try this, I'm going to be this great person, and then ultimately he was almost the greatest ever, and then just fell at the last hurdle, and then just dramatically died horribly. So I think Khosrow is very good, and I like him.
Yep. I just had to play devil's advocate for a minute. But I do think we're going to go with Khosrow.
I'll try and make one last point for Antiochus, just to go for it.
I do like him so much.
Antiochus the Great, he has so much going for him that maybe the fault... No, I was trying to convince myself, but I can't. I feel like the rise and fall aren't as good with Antiochus. Antiochus doesn't rise as far and doesn't fall as low as Khosrow.
So the extremes
I don't feel
are
like he gets that.
Better.
I like the extremes of Khosrow, where it's just like, he is just so great and so terrible at the same time. And everything goes wrong. Antiochus is very cool, and I'm very happy I know about him. But I cannot think of why he would defeat Khosrow. I don't know if you can come up with another devil's advocate point, because I tried and failed.
I think I agree with you. I think Khosrow is gonna go to the final. I do like Antiochus so much, though. I mean, that's why he is here. So,
yeah, he's in the top 4. Clearly, he is quite good.
I do love all of these episodes. I do need to go back and listen to all of our semi-finalists, if not all of our like overall rounds, like Shahanshah finalists. Because fun. They're the good episodes.
You can listen along and then see if you agree with us.
Yeah. Also, if you think we have an episode that didn't get a Shahanshah, but it is a good episode in itself, just maybe the king itself wasn't, just didn't make it. Although I would say when someone makes a good story, we tend to give them a Shahanshah because it is just so memorable. Yeah. But let us know if we left someone out, not specifically just someone that you enjoy as a historical figure, but an episode that you particularly enjoyed that didn't make it into the Shahanshah rounds. I would love to know.
Yes, sounds good. And yeah, okay, well, Serial, Khosrow II, moving on to the final.
Yeah, let's just do it. I can't anymore.
Off we go. So, congratulations, Khosrow. You can head off. You've managed to kill 3 lions on your way through. Unfortunately, Antiochus III was caught, saw a shiny coin on the ground, went down to pick it up, and was mauled to death by a bunch of elephants that were just passing nearby in the royal hunt. Sorry, Antiochus. You lose. But wait, Serial, there's more. We promised you a 3rd and 4th place.
True.
And you're gonna get it today.
Oh, let's go. Straight away.
Exactly. Among our 2 losers, we have Seleucus I, Seleucus Nicator. Semifinalists. And then Antiochus III, Antiochus the Great. Do you need a refresher on Seleucus for the final, or are you happy?
Sure, I know that he's your boy, but give me the quick pitch.
Seleucus is my boy.
2 Hellenistic kings?
2 Hellenistic rulers, yes.
Interesting.
That's right. So, Seleucus, just to give you a super quick rerun.
Yep, yep,
He
yep.
rises from a minor noble to a king in the fall of Alex's empire. He actually loves his wife. Cool. Good stuff. Wars of the Diadochoi against Antigonus. He manages to go to India, get some elephants, makes a deal with Chandragupta Maurya, defeats all the other Diadochoi. He escapes from Ptolemy's land with 1,000 men, conquers all the east, and makes himself the largest of the Diadochoi at last. He is a great city builder. He gives a new mixed soul to the empire, both Iranian and Hellenistic. He strongly integrates his son and heir into the administration, which is very helpful. He almost reconquers Alexander's empire before being murdered at last. He is so well
True.
loved that he just goes up in front of an army and says, "Hey, do you guys want to join me and not the loser you're fighting for?" And they say, "Yeah, that's fair enough. We'll join you." Good plan. And, well,
Yeah.
Antiochus the Great, we've been talking about him
Yes,
plenty.
yes.
So, yes. Do you have a starting vibe? Because I think I do.
Okay, it's quite interesting to me that they both move their empires forward and conquer new territory and implement new like bureaucratic, and logistic things for their empire. But
Yes.
Seleucus is stopped because he's murdered by
Yeah.
his son, and Antiochus stops because he loses a war against the Romans.
Yes.
And to me, that's different.
Yes.
That's
And also, again, I mentioned this during the rise and fall of Khosrow
Mhm.
comparison. I feel like Seleucus has no kingdom to start with. Antiochus, yes, he starts in a disadvantaged position, but
But
he
in a
starts as king.
personal, yeah, in a personal
Yeah,
matter, not in
exactly.
a empire matter. Yeah.
Seleucus is a guy, and through different machinations, he manages to end up murdering a regent of the empire, making himself governor of Babylon, escaping Babylon, working as an admiral in Ptolemy's fleet, then escaping, reconquering all the east, making himself king, doing an actually good job. He does what Alexander should have done. And then eventually he almost reconquers the empire, but is just killed by Ptolemy's son. And that
Yeah.
just breaks down. So I feel like Seleucus deserves it more. I think Antiochus, cool, interesting, but ultimately Seleucus does a better job and he's also just like a nice person. We've agreed. He's a king. There's problems, but broadly he's reasonably nice.
Yeah.
So I feel like we can let Seleucus through unless you have any opposition. Do you want to play devil's advocate for Antiochus?
Well, no, I've been doing that the whole episode, and like, um, yeah, I feel like this makes sense.
Okay, very well. Then, in that case, Antiochus the Third, the great King of Kings, he can go off onto the fourth place of the podium and receive his wooden medal and a laurel wreath made of wood. Because, it's alright. It's fine. He did a reasonably good job. He has a wooden diadem. It's fine. He is the fourth best King of Kings. He is the fourth most impressive. We really liked you, but there are three people that are absolutely better than you. And in third place, on the lowest step of the podium, we have Seleucus I Nicator, the great founder of the Seleucid Empire. He gains a bronze diadem and a bronze medal with which to glory himself as being the third greatest ruler of all of Iran, because he did a great job. He founded one of the empires, and he deserves this place. So, congratulations, Seleucus. And so, dear listeners, we have reached the end of today's episode, where we found out that the final is going to be Darius the Great, Darius the First versus Khosrow Parviz, Khosrow the Second, and we'll get to find out who our victors are. And, well, unfortunately, you will have to wait a little bit to gain this information. You'll have to wait at the very least a week, maybe two, depending on how scheduling
It
works
will
out,
be worth it, though.
because we're organizing special things.
Trust us.
So you'll find out how it is. And also, mystery things that
And
I will
also,
agree with
no,
Serial.
you can't talk about it.
And also, no.
But hey, that just gives you more time to write to us and be like, you guys are wrong about everything. And we'll be like, yeah, it's a subjective podcast.
That's fair, yeah. You know, feel free to recommend other episodes that you've enjoyed.
If you
It's
ask
good.
me in like 3 months, I might have changed my mind. Like, I'll probably listen to this at some point in the future and be like, what the hell? Why did we decide this?
So, there we go. If you would like to support us, there are many ways to do so. If you've enjoyed this round, this romp through history, and you're ready here now at the end of all things, you can support us monetarily on Patreon, where for a few of your currency of choice,
A few
you
coins.
can listen to a bunch of extra episodes. You've listened to, you've seen here what our Patreon categories are. We've mentioned some of the kings, or even just characters. They're not necessarily kings. We've mentioned some of these people, who they are. If you want to hear more about them, join the Patreon. It's there. There's about 18 episodes there, or 21, I think. There's a few. There's a lot of them. Enjoy. We also have merch that you can buy if you'd like a poster with all of the rulers, or a mug with your favorite ruler on it, or shirts, t-shirts. We sell those. Want to have them? That's great. Go for it. Also, if there's a piece of merch that we don't have but you think would be really cool to have, just send us a message and we'll probably make it happen. Yeah, easy. It's easy on my end. If instead you'd rather not support us monetarily, that's fine, but we would appreciate if you could give us a review on your podcast app of choice. Tell us what you thought. Do you think that our third and fourth places are right? Who do you think is going to win the first and second place? Tell us about people you think were robbed. There's a lot of exciting things. Invite people with your favorite episode that you think they should start from. There's a lot of cool things you could talk about, and we all love to hear it. But yeah, so we have now gone through the last of our semifinals, and we hope you'll join us next time in a week or two or three rather,
Yes.
to find out who's going to win the grand final. Goodbye.
Bye.